Hello, hello. Welcome to this brief showcase of the FoundryVTT system for draw steel made by MetaMorphic Digital. I've been using this system for my own games and it's working out quite well. It recently had its 0.8 release, in which it introduced a bunch of compendia, which contain things like the ancestry, the classes, the monsters, the subclasses, all that good stuff. Everything you basically need to start playing the game. In its current release, the 0.8, it contains most of the early game implementations. So, low-level enemies, the first few building blocks for classes and stuff like that. Just not any high-level stuff. They are continuously working on the system. And, well, if you happen to have the technical skill and time to help with data entry, they are looking for people to help basically implement all the rules from Draw Steel into the FoundryVTT system. Luckily, Draw Steel's license allows people to basically implement the rules in its entirety into the system. So something really impressive has been made thus far, and I'm sure that as they continue to work on it, it'll only get better. So, that being said and done, let's start exploring the system. Let's start with this showcase. So, over here I have the starting zone of the first Delian Tomb battle map. As you can see, I have 4 heroes here, and most of the default stuff you'd come to expect from FoundryVTT is already implemented. So, you know, the default stuff like pinging, and of course stuff like movement. If we double-click the token, we open the sheet, and you can see that the null has a movement speed of 7. All distance in this game is kind of printed out in squares. So if we move Faden's token, we can see that he can move 7 squares, and it's kind of shown how many he's moving. The moment we go beyond that, the line becomes yellow to indicate that, yeah, still reachable if you choose to dash. However, once we go beyond 14, the line becomes red. That is not conventionally reachable. So, there's a lot of stuff on this sheet, and it might seem intimidating in the sense that, you know, you'll have to get all this information on here. I mean, this is a level 1 character, and there's a lot of stuff in here. But so, let's see how that is done. Let's create a new character. Let's call it Robert the hero, and we'll create the actor. Right now we have an entirely empty sheet. So how do we go about filling all the information that we have from Phelan onto a sheet like this? By dragging and dropping, luckily. Over here on the right hand side we have the companion packs, and we have a folder with the Draw Steel system. If you click that, it'll expand, and you'll have the building blocks required. Let's start with the classes and with the ancestries and backgrounds. So, let's say Robert is a polder. We're going to drag and drop this onto the sheet. We are shown which stuff gets added. For example, shadow melt, small, and stuff like that. We click OK, and now that information is on our sheet. If we at any point in time would like to share this information with the rest of the group, we can right-click it, click share, and it will be printed in the chat. So, ancestry done. Let's go to backgrounds. Our career. Our good polder friend is a politician. And as you can see now, as you drag in politician, this prompt is a little bit more involved. Because we have some leeway here. So we're going to click this little settings icon over here, as it prompts us to select 2 skills. Robert is a politician, so we'll brag and empathize. Well, it's a politician, and let's not take empathize. Lead. So, next one, languages. There's a lot of these. Let's just pick one at random. And then finally, one interpersonal perk. We're going to click OK. And we're going to go over to the complication perks and kits compendium. And we're looking for an interpersonal perk over here. So we'll drag in, so tell me. Okay. And this is now listed among the items among the features as a perk. So let's close this. and go back to our culture. We're just going to take polder culture. I mean, it's a polder. More prompts. Let's take intimidate. Communal. Let's take mechanics. Creative. Let's take cooking. Right. All of these values selected. We now click confirm. And now, as you can see over here, we have our polder with the polder culture and the politician career. There's one thing we have yet to do, of course, which is to select a class. So, for this specific character, we're going to click a tactician. We're going to drag and drop this onto the sheet. And as you can see, we have a whole host of options here. Right, let's get started. I'm going to click the gear icon. We get to pick 2. Let's take alertness and blacksmithing, for example. I don't know. Now we have our tacticial doctrine. And if you want more information on any of these, you can click them. And this basically gives you the ability to look into a little bit more. For this particular character, let's take mastermind. Confirm. Keep going with this list. Sometimes there's also stuff you just get. Like, for example, the studied commander that you can click and get more information on. And sometimes it's a choice. So we're going to pick monsters here. Scroll down. We get focus, which is our heroic resource. More information on that if you click the thing. And we basically go down the lists. Ooh, these are kits. Let's take the sniper kit. A tactician actually gets 2 kits, now that I remember. Let's pick Sniper and Battle Mind. And we click OK. And as you can see, the moment we select these kits, we also get their kit ability. And that will be added to the abilities list. Right. Free focus. Let's take our free focus ability. Let's say Inspiring Strike. So that other people can act. And finally our 5 focus. Let's pick now. Each target can make a free strike. Amazing. Right. For those of you that know quite a bit about Draw Steel, you may be wondering, so where are the higher level focus abilities? Well, first and foremost, you're low level. You don't have access to them yet. Secondly, they're not implemented in the compendium yet. So as mentioned, the 0.8 release, it adds all the low-level stuff. Everything you might need to start playing Draw Steel, for example, in the Delian Tomb Adventure or the Road to Broadhurst Adventure. It's still very much in the making, and once again, if you want to help with data entry, you can visit the GitHub or stuff like that to help implement all the rules and contents of Draw Steel, and there is a lot into the system. But now we'll click confirm. Alright, Robert, the polder tactician, is done. He has all his building blocks implemented. There's one more thing we need to do, however, of course. Well, yeah. I actually don't know what the might scores are that you can pick from. Sorry. Let's pick, just random, don't look at that, look away. Once that is done, you'll see that, all the things we selected sort of appeared here. Features, equipment in the case of the kits, projects we have none, abilities, effects that may be active, for example, small, and biography for languages. Once you're done kind of making your character, you can click this icon over here to toggle play and edit mode. Currently we are in edit mode. If we click this, all the features kind of lock in place. So now all the skills we have selected previously during character creation show up here, and all the languages we've selected show up here. So that is basically how you create a character. But for now, let's return to our party of heroes that have already been made. So, goodbye, Robert. You were never meant to be. Right, so, let's close this, and return to Thaden. Double-click Thaden's token. We can see that he has a bunch of info. And the game essentially does help you a little bit with values. For example, as you can see here, you can choose to regain stamina with hero tokens which are listed in the bottom left. We start with 4 because we have 4 heroes. Same goes with surges. We can spend a hero token to gain 2 surges. And if you choose to click this, it will automatically deduct it from the hero tokens and add those here. Same for recoveries. Let's say our good friend Faden has been hurt. Let's say he took 10 damage. And now, because of this, he's missing some health. But on the sheet, we can click recoveries and spend 1 recovery to regain the null's recovery value, which is a 7. So we'll click this, gain 7 stamina, and 1 recovery was deducted, as you can see in the bottom list over here. Bottom bar, top bar, rather. My bad. Right, let's get his health back up. And let's start well, this game is all about combat, so let's have some combat. But who's there to fight with? Well, goblins, presumably. So, how do I get goblins into my game? Well, once again, we go towards the compendiums. This time around, we have the monsters pack. And as you can see here, we have a bunch of options. But we're going to go with goblins. Art is not included in the Draw Steel license. So they've opted for different icons that are more in line with the character's type, as to say. So let's drag in a Goblin Warrior over here. A Goblin Warrior, which is a humanoid horde harrier. And for example, a sniper would be artillery. In any case, so we have this information here. We have the Goblin Warrior. I have the art that I took from the book. So we'll take this dude over here. But don't tell anyone. So, which is basically just that Goblin Warrior stat block, what I uploaded the art from the PDF. So, our good friend Faden is going to face off against this goblin over here. But he's going to actually be facing 2 enemies. So if you're wondering about this little color indicator that I have, that is a module. It's called Token Color Marker. So in Draw Steel, you'll often find that enemies act in groups, like either groups of 2 or 3, or in the case of minions, larger than that, sometimes with a captain. And this little module allows me to indicate a color to show which are grouped, and to optionally mark one as a captain in the case of minions. Right, Faden, you have enemies before you. How are you going to go about this? Well, first and foremost, we're going to select both, right-click, and toggle the combat state. And now all the enemies have been added to the combat tracker. We're going to right-click the combat tracker to pop it out, and put it on the side over here. Next, we're going to roll a d10, and see what we get for initiative. Alright. We rolled a 9, and therefore the heroes can decide who goes first, and Faden is eager to act. So the players are going to go first. I'm going to click this button to begin the encounter. Now we're at the first round. Pay attention that in the bottom left, underneath hero tokens, it now also states the amount of malice that the director has. And the amount of malice is always equal to the amount of heroes plus the number of the round. In this case, we have 1 hero in the first round, so we've gained 2 malice to use. Right, so round has been started. I click this button over here to act. I click. As you can see over in the chat, at the start of Faden's turn, he gains some heroic resource. For the null, this is called discipline, and that he can use as he sees fit. If you happen to play a class that rolls the heroic resource, like a conduit, the game will roll that generation for you. Right, Faden, it's time to act. Move forward. He's gonna move up 2 squares, well within his 7 feet range, target the enemy using T on the keyboard, and then, well, I guess do something. Use an ability, rather. Let's click his sheet and go towards abilities. We have some options here. Some signature abilities, some free strikes. In this case, I'd like to use, let's say, Inertial Step. As you can see on the bottom over here, you can, from your sheet, drag an ability into a slot. For example, over here. And then basically you can roll, with a shortcut. So I click, I get a prompt. If I want to add any Banes or Banes or edges if I want to roll publicly or have it hidden for some case. And I'm going to click roll. Alright, well done, Faden. So, we see the roll. We are targeting the Goblin Warrior. This is a power roll that adds the character's agility. And this is a tier 2 result. So this will be 7 plus agility, which for Faden is 2. And as shown at the bottom over here, results in a damage of 9. And we're going to click this button over here to open the chat messages. I have this on the side. With the token selected of the Goblin Warrior, we're going to click apply 9 damage. 9 damage, a good blow, Faden. The enemy is already beneath its halfway hit point mark, with a max of 15, having dealt 9. The target is currently winded. Winded? It's looking worse for wear. There you go. So, Faden has acted. He has moved, he has used his main action, and he can still choose to do a maneuver if he has any. Well, there's a couple of maneuvers here. We can see with the maneuver header, a lot of options. Let's also try and do a knockback. So, knock back the enemy, Faden. That's a good roll once again. A 17 is a tier 3 result. And therefore the goblin will fly backwards. And nearly crash into the tree, but, kind of finding his balance before that happens. Now, having utilized his movement, well, he still has movement left, so he can move more if he like. If we mouse over Faden, we can see that in this turn, he's only moved 2 squares, meaning he has 5 left. And now with the enemy this many squares away, we could be tactical about it and say, like, oh, we're gonna move up to our speed backwards. That way the goblin cannot reach us without dashing. Or without charging. But, any case. But if I do that, then this goblin is gonna get a free attack against me. So let's stay put where we are. So, I will end my turn as Faden, and the turn will switch towards the enemy. The yellow group of goblins will act. I'm going to activate one of them, this one over here, gets a little token, target the enemy, and basically also go towards his ability thing. I'm going to click Spear Charge, attack Faden, and see what we get. Ooh, that's a terrible roll. A tier 1 result. Lucky for the goblin, you cannot miss in Draw Seal, otherwise that would have been 1. We'll select Faden's token and apply 3 damage. That's all the goblin's gonna do. Very simple. Now, we have one... Normally, the initiative would now go back to the heroes, and another hero would act. However, in this combat, we only have Faden. And therefore, all the enemies that have not yet acted will go in a turn. Basically follow up. We're gonna activate this one. Activate this goblin. He's gonna stomp his feet in anger because he was shoved. Move up to Faden and also attack with the Spear Charge. Right, that is also a bad result. Tier 1 result once again, 3 points of damage to Faden. And we end the goblin's turn. So, now we're gonna move towards the next turn. The next round, rather. Everyone's actions are sort of reset. We start a new round. Over in the bottom left, you can see that instead of 2 malice, the director now has 5 malice. Once again, the amount of malice is equal to the amount of heroes plus the round. So, I had 2, I gained 3. Round 2 plus 1 hero, yada yada. Math, anyway. I have 5 malice. I can kind of play this out, but I don't think I need to. You kind of get a sense like this is how combat will work in Raw Steel in this FoundryVTT module. It will sort of just keep going. People can basically discuss amongst themselves like, hey, Dave, if you were to join combat here, do you want to act now? Do I go first? Well, you can go first and I will do my heal on you after, yada yada. The tactical aspects of this, the tactical aspects of Raw Steel are easily used through this initiative tracker, as people can just sort of pop in when they like. Alright, so, what else needs to be mentioned? I guess modules. Like most of the stuff that I've shown here is fairly system native. There are some modules which I feel like are worth mentioning. The main one, the token color marker. This one, which allows you to set colors to kind of group things together. Another one I would like to mention is the token aura rings, which allows you to add a aura to a character. For example, I make a new aura. I call this null field. Let's set the radius to 1. There we go. Save changes. And now we have a null field of 1 around the null. The null, of course, has an ability which is like an aura for a certain amount of squares. And now you can just sort of see it. And it will, of course, move with the token. In any case. So that... yeah. What's there to say? All the low-level stuff is in here. Oh, I think I forgot something for the character creation. Our poor Robert the Polder. Our poor Polder. I forgot to give him ancestry features. So you get a certain amount of points, which you can use to buy ancestry features. I don't think I've added any, but you know, you can just sort of drag those in. Right. Let's say we end combat. So we're gonna click this thing over here, end encounter. We'll get a prompt. You see how many victories we should award. You know, probably 1. Reset stamina, reset a heroic resource. We click confirm. And now Faden and everyone else involved in the combat. Dave, did you do anything? Yes, 1 victory. Right, I think that's basically it. Like, you can quite clearly see that essentially you can just play the entirety of the starter kit using the system as it is. If you find that something is lacking, you can always add, you know, NPCs and stuff like that yourself. But as you saw, the compendiums have like the base stuff for the starter kit adventure. That's it. Thank you for watching. Good luck with Raw Steel. Not so fast. Yeah, I forgot something. So, one thing that's important to mention here, if you select your token, you can right-click it, and you have this option over here for Assign Status Effects. This can be great for adding things like bleeding and other various conditions. It also has, for example, the marked status here, which you'll be using plenty if you have a tactician in your party. By default, it's just basically, you know, you manually add it and remove it. But if you want to be more specific about it, you can basically click end of turn, then add a condition that will fade at the end of turn, on a save, at the end of the encounter, or basically on a rest. I felt like that's important to mention at least. That's it. Now it's the end for real. This time.